Judy, which is based off of the stage play called The End of the Rainbow, or at least End of the Rainbow, stars Renee Zellweger as the formidable actress and singer Judy Garland, following her as she arrives in London back in 1969 for a run of sold-out concerts, but also happens to touch on parts of her childhood that led her to this moment in the film. This was a movie that I decided to see at the last second last year when it was in theaters, and though I was interested in seeing Judy, thanks to the adequate trailer and at least what looked like from the trailers and the marketing campaign to be at least an adequately satisfying performance by Zellweger, because I hadn't seen movies consistently since I hadn't been going to the theater at all consistently at that point, it was a bit more difficult to fully get excited in seeing anything other than the big movies. So I will admit that I thought it was weird that I was going into this not as excited as my wife is, but then again, she actually had a bit more of an understanding of the life of Judy Garland than I did. I have a bit more of an understanding, but I still think she has me beat in that area. But anyway, luckily, I will say that seeing the movie did make me feel better about just slowly actually helping me to go out every single weekend to actually see movies. So that was at least something. And at least now, despite the fact that the film came out like at least a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit more, I'm glad that I'm finally able to actually do a review on it. But anyway, before I get into my thoughts on the review, I want to first remind you guys to hit that like button and also to hit that subscribe button, especially if you're not already a subscriber. And just a short disclaimer for those of you who are new to the channel, I tend to use a pro and con setup with my reviews. I don't usually keep the sections separate, but sometimes I do. We'll see how it goes out with how the overall product emerges. Anyway, let's get into my review of Judy. Zellweger truly disappears as Judy. She didn't go for the straight impersonation route like you would expect most people do, and like Taron Egerton did when he portrayed Elton John in Rocket Man. She seems to have been coached in not just the voice of Garland, but also the mannerisms of Garland, to where she can truly make a performance of her own without it being an impersonation, but also being able to revere what made Garland such an iconic, beloved, and even tragic figure. There are actually a few pictures that are shown in one scene in the movie where you just look at it and it looks exactly like Garland. It's just, the picture was Garland, but with the way that that Zellweger was cast, she looked it was almost an uncanny look-alike to Garland. I thought that was amazing. There are times where Judy Garland as a character is difficult to root for as a protagonist because of her aloof and somewhat confrontational attitude, though they do a good job at making her feel very sympathetic as a person. The most intriguing thing about having Judy Garland as a protagonist is showing how complicated her relationship was with fame itself, and it's a credit not only to Zellweger but also the screenwriter. She yearns for a normal life, even from childhood, but there's little hope that she can escape from her impulse to perform. It's something that's been nurtured into her ever since she first stepped out on the stage at an extremely young age, and any time that she does not live up to those standards that were forced onto her in those flashback sequences, she's belittled by her mother, who consistently gives her drugs to fight off hunger, help her sleep better, things like that, and is especially belittled by the head of MGM at the time of when The Wizard of Oz was filmed. And just speaking to that that impulse to perform, Garland is even an actor around her children, which just shows further how bad it got in those early days, to where it's just seeped into her entire life, because she'll just be comforting them before their imminent abandonment when she's trying to go to London in order to support them. And she's comforting them by jumping into a wardrobe and pretending that she's gone to live there with her son's stuffed rabbit. And you really see that it's a performance once she gets in there and she starts trying to fight back the tears. The script is sadly a case study in what a tragic biopic should be, or at least what the norm is. It's basically like a checklist. She collapses on the stage, she throws tantrums at those working for her. We see multiple shots of her taking drugs and drinking alcohol that are all staged in the same way. Even that triumphant end and return for the climax that ends in this heartwarming end that feels a little too forced, even if it does pull at your heartstrings, but only because you've been conditioned to enjoy it by tropes just like these, and all you can really do is try to remind yourself that what's going on the screen is not exactly anything new. The musical performances are the reason, other than Zellweger's performance, to see the film. This is when the cinematography, the acting, the music, and just the entertainment feel in general all live in perfect harmony. And also, it's a wonder to behold Zellweger's voice. The side characters aren't exactly anything to behold in this film. They all do their best with the material that they're given, but it's easy to notice that they were definitely not the focus of the screenwriter, only being there to actually make it to where Judy has people to work off of as a character. But the worst offender, though, has to be that of Mickey Deans, the fifth and final husband of Garland, portrayed by Finn Wittrock. The chemistry between Judy and Mickey, her new boyfriend, as I said, and eventual husband, feels kind of forced and unrealistic. It's like there's this weird disconnect between the characters. I think it was mostly the acting on both parts. Like, I don't know, it was like they feel awkward around each other in real life, rather than as these characters. It could have been done on purpose because of how Judy is normally around other people, and she's just naturally awkward around anybody, because of her upbringing, but it feels like it's on a different level than the others, so I really wanted to call attention to that part. With Judy, I feel like the job was well done as an acting vehicle for Zellweger, who ended up winning the Oscar for Best Actress for this role, as well as a character study into an icon whose life was fraught with bad influences and imbued with these really unhealthy habits, and not to mention just having high energy on-stage musical sequences. But besides all that, the film is just fine. If it focused less on being a standard biopic of a tragic person and story, maybe it would have made a better film overall. I still recommend it, though, for all the positives that I give, regardless of the lesser parts. But anyway, that's where this review will end. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts, or enjoyed hearing my thoughts on that. That sounded weird. Once again, don't forget to hit the... Don't forget to hit that like button. This is the part where I always screw up. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, especially if you haven't already subscribed. And as always, farewell until the next video, all of you casual moviegoers and movie fans alike, and keep on being awesome.